Ben Barış Akbulat. Şimdi şu anda yanımda gördüğünüz adam dünyanın en acayip, en yetenekli, en başarılı bas gitaristlerinden bir tanesi Mr. Victor Wooten.
Hello.
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 Can you tell me this project with Franciscini and those chambers?
Sure. Yeah, it's a fun trio. We are writing and recording some new music for a new record to come out next year, and this is our first, extensive tour. We played a couple of shows in Japan. I can't remember if it was last year or earlier this year, I think. And we're just having fun and really just getting started, and looking forward to doing more.
And I just wonder, I'm curious about the trios and the side projects for the musicians. And how did you start a project, a new side project,
Sure.
and new trios? How did you create this project?
In many cases, musicians play together in some situation. Like with Dennis and Bob, we have all played together with the Mike Stern band, great jazz guitarist Mike Stern. I played with Bob in other places, I played with Dennis in other places. A lot of the times musicians meet that way, by doing something else. And then we remember each other, say, man, I'd love to do something else with you. So this was an idea that I've wanted to do for quite a while, because I love their playing. I love Dennis on drums, just, one of the world's best. And Bob Franceschini, not the most well-known saxophone, but one of the world's best. And hopefully this project will help people know his name and his playing even more, because he's amazing on the sax. He also can play keyboards and other things, and is a great teacher. But so we met doing other things, and then I got the idea to do another tour. And just about every time I tour, I have a different band, sometimes with my brothers, sometimes with different people. And I wanted to do this trio this time, so that's what we're doing.
Can you tell me about the practicing stuff with the whole band stuff and the whole new music stuff? And
yeah, well, in my mind, music is a lot like talking. In the same way, we've never met, but we can sit down and have a conversation that works. We didn't have to practice. Maybe you prepared questions or whatever, but by the time we get together, we don't spend a lot of time practicing the interview.
Yeah.
We do the interview. Musicians work the same way. Once we know what we want to do, we do it. And if it's not working, then we may have to practice it and rehearse it some. But the magic is in, for jazz anyway, the magic is in the spontaneity, meaning it's in the not practicing everything. We want it to happen live. We want to improvise.
it's the moment.
It's the magic, it's the moment, the magic that's found in the moment, yes. So with SMV, Stanley Clarke, Marcus Miller, and myself, we wrote music, we recorded it, and then we, rehearsed it some, but then we played it. And every night when we would play it, we would change things, because it's hard to rehearse what's going to happen live. Because when you're rehearsing, the audience is not there. And the audience should dictate, should make you play differently. And that's what happened with us. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people in most bands. Some of my favorite times seeing Mike Stern is with Richard Bona on bass. I love that combination. And Richard is just an amazing player, and he gets inspired, and so does Mike. They get inspired by the audience, and the audience makes us perform differently. So it's hard to totally rehearse for that. So with us, we leave some things unsaid, unfinished, and we allow the audience to come in and inspire us.
What are your opinions about the future music and the way that new youngsters
Well, music changes, and I'm sure people older than us said the same thing about us when we were young. The young people, they'll get it. They're young. Of course, it's going to be technical. They're going to use technology. They're going to play fast. That's what we do when we're young. That's what we do. The thing that you can't buy and the thing that you can't practice when you're young is experience. Young people don't have experience yet. And when you get experience, you slow down a little, because you don't need to tell your story fast. You can tell it slow, and you can add more quality and more soul and more feeling and more experience into what you say. That only comes with age. When you're young, you have to fake it a little. So I don't worry about music. I don't worry about the young people. We have technology. They're supposed to use it. You know, I came over here on an airplane. That's technology. Let's make the most of it. I just do hope that the young people pay attention to and learn from the past. Like bass players that are playing a lot of flashy stuff. Nothing wrong with that, unless you don't know how to play slowly also. Because bass should be simple at times. And so as long as people are learning music as a whole, and not just the top layer that's flashy and fast, I'm fine. I don't worry about it. I think the future of music is in good hands with our young musicians.
Did you ever fake it when you were a young musician?
I fake it when I'm old. I fake it every night, you know. I have to play jazz most of the night. I get considered a jazz musician, so I play jazz, and I fake it. You know, I don't have the same jazz experience that even Bob and Dennis have. I definitely don't have the same jazz like Ron Carter. So a lot of what I'm doing is faking it. I'm doing my interpretation of what I heard, right? In other words, like when kids are learning to be adults, they fake it. They imitate, but that's how you grow. So it's not wrong to do that. It's perfect to do that. It helps you grow faster if you fake it. Sometimes in America we say fake it until you make it. Yeah, so I still do that, and it helps me learn. I consider myself more of an R&B, soul, you know, funky bass player. But I love jazz, and unfortunately I get to play it a lot. But yeah, I think faking it is a good thing to do, you know.
And what was the song that made you think that I will be the musician? Do you remember?
There wasn't a song, no. My story is a little different. I have 4 older brothers, and I'm the youngest of 5 boys. So when I was born, my brothers needed a bass player. They needed a bass player already when I was born. So that became me right away. And so it was my brothers that got me into playing music. It wasn't a song or anything like that. So when I was very, very young, I was already in a band. I was born into a band. And I've been performing and playing live my whole life. So it wasn't just a song. I don't even remember what the first song I learned, but it was because of my brothers and the support of our parents. So I really owe my musicianship to them.
Can you tell me about your forest treatments and your workshops?
Sure. Yeah, I run a music camp since the year 2000. So we've been doing it 17 years now. And it's a music camp for any instrument, all ages, any level. And we do it in the woods in Nashville, Tennessee. No, I'm sorry, just outside of Nashville, really near Nashville. But we have a big piece of land on a river and lots of trees. And then we have cabins and a cafeteria and a bathhouse. And when we're there for about a week at a time, maybe more. And there's no TV, there's no outside
no
distractions.
Cell phones,
you can bring your cell phone, but reception is bad. But I have some of the world's greatest instructors, including Bob Franceschini. We've had Dennis Chambers at our camps to teach. Even our sound guy will come down and do some things about sound. And we stay there, and we really are able to get deep into music and life, as well as how nature, how the outdoors and things like that can help us become more natural. Because the way we learn music, in my opinion, the way we learn music and practice it is not natural. It's like the way you learn to speak your first language. It wasn't by locking yourself in a room and practicing. Okay, here's the words I want you to practice today. Go practice. And you sit there and say these words. You don't do that. When you learn a new word, you say it once or twice, then you start using it. To me, that's a more natural process. So at our camps, we like to introduce a different way of looking at music, a different way of practicing music, a different way of thinking about it. And we find that it really works, and people grow really fast. And when they play with this method and this approach, they play with a smile on their face, because all of a sudden it's fun again. Like when you were a child playing air guitar or beating drums or singing in the shower, it's done with a smile. But as soon as we take a lesson and someone teaches us that we have to play right, it becomes serious, and it's no longer fun. The sad thing about that is most musicians stay in that place for the rest of their lives. And I want people to have fun again. Even if it's wrong, have fun.
When I saw you on the stage first time, and it was really a great experience because you were having fun. You are always smiling on the stage, and that affects the audience.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It affects the audience. It affects you in any relationship you're in. How the people respond to you, how the people act, will cause you to respond and act a certain way. And I understand that when I'm on stage. But I'm also having fun. I know how special it is that I get to travel the world and come to a wonderful place like Turkey and do what I love to do. People pay me to do this. People pay to come see me do what I love. That's special. I have a career because of people like you. I have a career because of audiences and fans. And I love what I do, and hopefully you love to hear me do it. That makes me smile.
What's your favorite album and favorite musician?
I don't have a favorite because music is too big for me to have one favorite. I love Stanley Clarke. I grew up at him as my hero, and he's still my hero. But I also love reggae music, and Stanley Clarke is not my favorite reggae bassist. If I was going to listen to bluegrass music, I don't want to hear Stanley on bass. So it's not, I don't have a favorite. But if I want to hear Stanley Clarke, Stanley is my favorite. If I want to hear Ray Brown is my favorite. So I like everyone for what they do, right? And I don't just choose one.
Okay. What's the latest album that you buy?
The latest album that I bought. Oh, wow, that's a good question. I can't even recall it at the moment. Oh wow, that's a hard one. I can't recall at the moment. I can't recall. I can tell you something that I've been listening to, which is a rehearsal tape. I got a bootleg rehearsal tape of D'Angelo.
Okay.
With Pino Palladino and Questlove and Roy Hargrove on trumpet, and they're rehearsing, and it's so great.
Wow.
Just to hear them joking and working it out, but it's so funky, so musical. So that's one of the things I've been listening to.
Can you tell me when will we listen to your new album with this crew?
I don't know the exact date, but it'll be in the first half of next year. And it'll be with this trio, Dennis Chambers on drums, Bob Franceschini on saxophone, and myself on bass. So people can look for that. And they can go to my website, which is victorwooten.com. They can also you can find me on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and all that fun stuff, Twitter, and find out more about my camps and my latest projects.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you and nice to talk with you.
Thank you.
Victor Wooten ile birlikteydik. Söylediklerini umarım genç müzisyenler de almıştır. Ben acayip keyif aldım kendisiyle konuşmaktan. Uzun zamandır çok sevdiğim bir müzisyendi. Motto Müzik'te kalmayı unutmayın. Abone olursanız, like ederseniz ve victorwooten.com adresine de bakın ve diskografisine bir inceleyin isterseniz. Çok güzel işler var. Kendinize iyi bakın. Görüşmek üzere. Bay bay.